Yay, it works. Greetings, everybody. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Obviously not in the morning. So, had some technical difficulties this morning. Facebook wouldn't let me go live. I don't know if I had internet issues here at the house or if it was a Facebook issue. Either way, couldn't do my morning view. Just did the 3-minute commercial over on YouTube. So make sure that if you're watching this here, go ahead and stay here. However, if you need to watch it on fast speed later when it is uploaded, you can go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, different than my Facebook profile. White hair, beautiful face. You'll know you're in the right spot because all my thumbnails look the same. All right, so, yeah, the thumbnails always pick the most flattering of all the faces that I make. All right, so today, Spring Edition 2026, it was pouring down rain this morning, so I wasn't going to come out in the morning while it was raining, wasn't going to take the dog out while it's raining, trying to keep her funnels dry. All right, by the time it finished, we were nearing close to when I had to go to work. And I came out, and that's when Facebook was not working. So, went to work, have been out in the hot sun all day long, and guess what? Not too much Fiesty left in me. Not too much Fiesty. I'm sitting right now. It's been brutally muggy. It feels like for the last couple of days, like I live in North Carolina or something. But I do not. Now, that was cold dripping on my leg from my water bottle. Now, what we're talking about, I have the title, Run. Run. Now, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I knew what I was going to talk about. I didn't know what I was going to say. Because that's how I ended up with the title, right? And the title has to do with, and so I did not get a chance to really think about it all day because I've been with children all day long in the hot sun, sweating. First grader asked me why I had water all over my face. I said, because I just spent the last half hour with the kindergartners outside. I'm glistening. All right, let's get down to business. Enough of my shenanigans. I need another drink of water. All right. I've been reading Thessalonians this week. And one of the chapters, I believe it was like chapter 4, it talked about when the day of calamity comes, when the day of tribulation comes. The instructions that you are supposed to follow is if you are on top of a roof, don't go down. Don't go down into your house. If you're out in a field, do not go home for clothes. Run to the fields. Run to the mountains. Run to the mountains. So, he was talking about a prophecy that Daniel was talking about. Now, the Bible has this thing of saying it's already happened, it's going to happen type of vibe to it, right? There's a prophecy that took place and a prophecy yet to come. A prophecy this, we're not going to get into that. We're just going to go with, at the time for that prophecy, it was when the Romans were coming in to destroy Israel, to destroy Jerusalem. It was for Jerusalem, for Judah. They were coming in 70 AD to just destroy it. Just utterly and so whatever Jewish people were able to escape, they escaped, right? And so as Christians, they got this warning. Saying, look, you're not children of darkness. You know. You're going to be watching for this. And as you're watching for this, you'll know that it's going to happen. Don't believe when other people say, oh, the time is now. Don't believe them. Watch yourself. Because a lot of people say, oh yeah, the time is here. And it isn't. Watching. So that is in reference also for what I believe is yet to come. We have to be watchful of what is happening, and is there going to be tribulation in our time? Is there going to be multiple generations have had some type of tribulation? You had those that were in the stock market back in the 1920s, right? And those that did not get into heavy debt and had, their property paid, they didn't lose their property. They didn't lose all the stuff. They were watchful. Those that got into debt, they didn't know what to do. And a lot of them ended up ousting themselves. I have to be careful how I say things on social media because it could be barred just by verbiage. And not, anything wrong being said. So, mind you, I have been barred because I had posted a picture of a flower growing up through a crack and said that the picture was content that was not in their standards. It was like, what? So, yeah, you have to be careful. All right, so I referred this morning on that 3-minute video about someone that I know that her house burnt down last year. Not last year as in 12 months ago. Last year as in 2025. So in 2025, her house burnt down. It happened in the middle of the night. And they had to get out of the house quickly. Because by the time they knew, it was already engulfed. And the lady and her daughter got out one direction, and the son had to be thrown through a window, where he landed on a bush, and part of the bush punctured his skin, his cheek. And the only reason why, I believe the only reason why they had passports is because they were in a drawer where you pulled out the drawer to break the window. So the husband pulled out the drawer, broke the window, the drawer went flying out, picked up his son, threw him out the window, and then jumped out the window himself. So with that said, they may have had some passports. They had a car that survived the fire, but no keys. So they had to go get keys made for a car that they didn't have keys for. They had a credit card or a debit card or something that was charred, but somehow still functioned. But that was after the fire. They had no time to grab anything except for their children and out the door. I don't remember if they had pets. So, it made me think, another fire case. When Lot was in Sodom, and the angels said, get your family out of Dodge. Get them out. Don't take anything, don't pack anything, just get out. Because in the morning, it's going to be destroyed. So they ran out without taking anything and ran for the mountains. Kind of like that in the day when destruction comes, don't go back to your house for anything. You're not going to have time. Don't go if you're on your roof, don't go down don't go down into the house. Leave, flee. When Lot left, his wife turned back at all that she just lost. And in the process of turning back and regretting the loss, she lost her life. She turned into a pillar of salt. You know, some people say, oh, it's all a grain of salt. All right. We won't go there. Now I have to look up what that phrase meant by it's all a grain of salt. Most of them say, oh, it's nothing. Well, that grain of salt was quite something. That was a human being one moment and a pillar of salt the next moment. So I have thought multiple times, if something should happen, and I've known this scripture for a very, very, very long time. How much time do we know things, but we don't know them, right? So I have contemplated in my head what should happen if there is going to be a fire in my house. Do I have things set up? Am I being watchful and noticing where I have things put, staged, so if I could do a quick grab, I could grab it. I don't know if it was in that 3-minute video, because I did two of them. 2 3-minute videos. And I only released one. The other one I'm going to delete. So I don't know if I had mentioned that we have had multiple fires in our town the last couple of years. And it has come very close to people's homes. There was one that the fire took place in one guy's yard, and it blew through and burnt part of somebody's house, and the other one, it hit like their propane tank, and it blew the house up. It was like, it burnt to the ground. Now, those people I don't think were home. So there was, at least they didn't, have their life at risk at the moment. Oh, but did they have pets? Don't know. However, I have thought about this multiple times of, should there be a wildfire? I live next to a state park. I live literally 2 short fields away from a state park. And if I go that way, it's just one field, because the field next to me goes back. It's long, but it's narrow. And the next one is narrow. And then the other one is forward more. So all that is state park. Very close. It's not maintained as far as, conservation is concerned. When you talk about the difference between conservationists and naturalists, some let the ground do whatever it wants. And then you end up with massive wildfires because they were not tended to, because our jobs are to tend to the earth. And so when we do not tend to the earth, it can become chaos. So wildfires, multiple wildfires for a time, because it's not maintained. It's just grows however willy-nilly. And so I thought about it. Well, if there was a fire on this side of me, I get turned around sometimes. It would have been over here. Had it reached up to me, it did not. It wasn't close. It was like part way down this one road that's nearby. Would I have time to grab my animals? Because that is first and foremost coming out of my house. Time to grab photographs. Time to grab whatever cash I have. My purse. What would I be able to grab in a short time, right? But in order for that to happen, you would have to have a system set up. I've talked about this many times about putting all the photographs that we have on discs. Discs or those little things, because discs are going out of business. So those little square things, putting them all there, and then making a couple of them, and then placing them at different family homes, because they're only as big as my finger, so they're not going to take a lot of space. And that way we have documents. They may not be original, but we would have documents, photographs, all these different things. Now, I talk about it, but I haven't done it. There's this watchfulness of being prepared for whatever happens, right? When tribulation comes. And then there's being prepared, right? There's being prepared for things like that. But if there's not a lot of time, right? If there's not a lot of time, are you going to run back in for your car keys? Are you going to run back in for, talk about the California fires, right? The ones in, Los Angeles area. How many people had time to even run into their houses? They didn't. Cars were burnt up because they couldn't go back and get the keys. They had to run. They had to just flee. In their case, they ran from the mountain because the mountain was on fire. But when you look back and you see what you've lost, it affects you. I noticed on some of the videos of people being interviewed after the fires, they were like, you know what, we'll just rebuild. Or, we can't rebuild here, but we're going to rebuild. We can't cry what we've lost. We just have to look towards the future. We have to look with what we have right now. We have our lives. And some of them were very grateful for their lives. Not everybody made it out, right? So for those people who lost people, there is a grieving process there that has to take place. It's healthy to grieve. But if you did not lose people, if all you lost was stuff, if you turn around and you look back, it's going to cause physical, mental, spiritual angst. And when you cause that physical, spiritual angst within yourself by choosing this loss mode, this thought of, oh, I've just lost everything. And I'm not saying it's easy. I've never lost like everything I ever owned. I haven't had a lot of stuff to own, and now I do. Like I said, there's memories. I've been married for 42 years. There's photographs that, but I could take care of that. I could be a person that is in the light and not in the darkness. I'm not in the darkness that calamity will come or can come. I'm in the light. I understand. So if I'm in the light, am I going to do the things that I need to do as a person of light? In other words, I understand and I know what I need to do prior to anything ever happening, if anything should happen. And if something should happen before I get all those pictures uploaded into those little thingies and distributed so that I have copies of paperwork, photographs, etc., it's my own fault for not being diligent, for not being aware, for not being watchful. So here you have Lot's wife turning at what she had lost. She had her daughters. She had her 2 daughters. She didn't have her future son-in-laws, but she had her 2 daughters. The others didn't want to come. They had the option. They chose. They could have ran out of town and went, oh, nothing happened, I'm going back to town. No, they just chose not to believe what was going to happen. She turns. She grieves over her loss of stuff, of life, of, oh, this was my life. We built this. And now it's being burned down. In the day that tribulation comes, don't go into the house if you're on the rooftop. Don't go back home for clothing. I got thunder going on. Don't go back home for clothing. Run to the mountains. You are children of light, not of darkness. Be watchful. So with that, as I'm listening to the thunder, getting closer, what is it that you can pre-do being somebody in the light? Understanding, knowing, figuring it out. I personally, if I had children in the house, I'm going back in the house. House may fall down on me, but I'm not leaving them as children. And if I have pets, any way possible, I'm going back for my pets. Because that's life. And if I can save a life, even if it costs me my life, then that is viable for running back in, for me, from my standpoint. Firefighter will tell you no, absolutely not. My husband will tell me no, absolutely not. But we're talking about life here, and so for life, I'm going in. But if I'm not home, and I can't get back home, then I can't get back home. There was a lot of people that couldn't get back home in those LA fires to save their pets. It was sad. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't get there. It's a hard thing. But for stuff, it's a pain in the butt to get all your paperwork back. It's a pain in the butt that you lose things that you can't ever get back, like photographs that, back before the digital age of putting everything on the cloud. It's stuff that's it's not worth your life. And when you grieve over it, it's not worth your life. All right. That's it for Fiesty Friday. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you on Monday. I'm going to get in before it starts pouring down on me. And told you I'd lost a lot of the feistiness being out in the hot sun. So, with that, blessings. Have a great day.